encourage other folks. I hope that you'll encourage other folks in your county, other trustees you're in contact with, to consider tuning in with us each month on the second Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern, as you know. Um, so it's good to see you here, and we're going to basically give you some reports and opportunities for input. So questions are welcome. And if you would like to speak at some point, would you please use the option to raise your hand? And that is located, let me see, on the, at the, oh, somebody help me. There's a way to raise your hand, isn't there? Um, well, give an indication in the chat that you would like to come off mute and speak, and that way we'll keep things in control and not talking over one another and that kind of thing, which can happen in these meetings fairly easily. So,
Debbie,
yes.
Debbie, if we want to tell everyone, if they go to their react button
Oh,
at the
that's where they
bottom,
go.
if you
Mm,
click react, you will see that there is a raise hand option. Sorry
thank
for
you.
interrupting.
Nope. Thank you. So if you could try to use that option, that way we can, like I said, have some sort of order here. And here I'm going to show you um, the the agenda for this Township Talk. And first, we're going to give a report of the association and just bring you up to speed on some business items. We'll talk a little bit about the SNAP crisis. We'll talk about the conference past. Uh, we'll talk about our quarterly seminars and what to expect in 26. And the time remaining, we will open it up for general Q&A that are off these topics. Anything that you need help with that you think would be helpful information for everyone. Okay, so let's get started here. Um, in thinking about the association, I have served as executive director for 19 years, and it became apparent this past year that we needed to really think hard about where we're headed as far as our leadership and our ability to continue providing the services that you not only expect, but that we all need. And how can we enhance those services? It's very difficult with one leader trying to do that. And so um, I had three people join me in building a strategic plan that was presented to the board of directors last spring and presented to the convention this past September. And in that plan for a more diverse set of leaders, one person cannot do everything that needs to be done, nor one brain think of everything that needs to be thought of. And so we have gone, oh boy. I apologize. Doing this from home with a dog. Um, I hope you understand. But it became apparent that in that process, in that work, that we needed diverse leaders. We needed a team of leaders in order to keep the association growing, keep us thriving and relevant. And brought together four of us. And I'd like to be sure that you know them and know what they are doing for the association. And so I'd like to start with Drew and Lita and Freya.
Sorry, Debbie. Um, sorry, somebody was needing a link. I was getting ready to send it out. So right when you said my name, I had to jump back in. Obviously, most of you have known me. I've been helping out with ITA since the fall of 2023 as the associate director. Really, my main areas going forward are going to be the business, finance, and compliance of Indiana Townships and the association. So whether it's getting us connected with, professionals in the financial industry, like we had with the CIP meeting we had in June, whether it's day-to-day compliance stuff or checking in with the State Board of Accounts, that's going to be where my wheelhouse is. Before I was a trustee, I was a finance officer for my township that I am the trustee of now for 10 years. So it's really an area where I feel like I have a lot of expertise, or have at least a lot of networking abilities to contact the right people to get the right answers. So, speaking with Debbie over the past 2 years, trying to answer all the questions that we have through, our membership and just any township in general, is that it's a lot of questions are sometimes hard for just me and Debbie to answer. So adding pieces to that so we can get more expertise advice in certain areas instead of me and Debbie's knowledge being broadcasted to 1,002 townships is really the goal, and ultimately making ITA and Indiana Townships in general just stronger through my aspects and lending a hand to anybody that needs help.
And then we have Lydia Wales. Lydia, are you there? Here we go.
I am. Hi, I'm Lydia Wells. Moving forward, I am the Director of Member Engagement, which means I get to help people connect, which I absolutely love doing. The games that we did at conference, the connection games, I thought everybody enjoyed. So what I'm asking now is if anybody has ideas on stuff like that, please share them. Or if you're having trouble connecting with other townships in your county, reach out to me. I'm going to put my email in the chat, and I will help get you connected with the other trustees in your county or your surrounding counties. Or if you need to find a trustee doing a specific program and you want to look into doing that, let me know and I'll get you connected.
And then Florence May.
Good morning, everyone. I am your new Director of Technology and Data. I have owned a software company for the past 26 years, and so working on building websites and association management systems and online dues, all things that I have worked on throughout my career. In addition, I'll be focused on data collection. So everything we need to be more informed about our membership and to help us educate our strategic plan. We'll also be looking at online newsletter and just really improving the workability and capabilities of our online processes. And I know there's some people who love online and there's some people who hate online. And so we're going to try and bridge that technology. I think many of you know me from my specialization on the fire front and the formation of fire territories and looking at our fire programming. So that is my subspecialty, I guess. Debbie, did I cover everything?
You did, Flory. Thank you. And Lydia, I don't think mentioned the fact that in the area of township assistance, she is very well educated and using best practices in her operation and is very qualified to give guidance. Flory mentioned fire and public safety related questions. She's great at identifying, where the problem might be and where the answer might be, and guiding you there. And Drew, I think, gave a good explanation of kind of his base of finance and compliance issues. So my role will continue to be, at least for the time being, I'll continue to be acting as executive director with this team of directors. And we are hopeful that we can, like I said earlier, enhance services, and I think we already have. For those of you that know me, you know that in 2024, I had a very challenging year with my health. And at that time, it was Drew and me. And Drew really stepped up and kept things going. And Flory and Lydia came to us and said, how can we help? As we were gearing up for conference, how can we help? And help in a meaningful way. And they put the hours in leading up to the conference and um, really emerged as potential leaders in this kind of capacity. And those of you that attended this past conference and the seminars of this past year, I think have really, I hope, seen the positive changes that we are making, especially in the realm of programming. One conference planner cannot develop all of the programming. It's our program of 3 days is just a huge undertaking. And Drew has successfully built out our trade show and our business end of things, our corporate members. And Flory and Lydia helped as well to develop programming for conference this past year. And that I think people noticed. If you were there, I'd love to get your feedback if you notice when we get down to talking more about the conference. But I want to skip ahead here to a slide because I want you to have a full picture of um, the structure of the ITA. And this is from our bylaws. And I know it's small on the screen, but I'll help you understand what's here. The ITA has an executive board made up of the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, and one area director that represents these regional type directors on the executive board. The full board is comprised of those five plus seven more area directors. So we have a total of eight area directors. And then those area directors are responsible to secure a county coordinator in each of the counties in their region or their district. The board, the executive board, hires the executive director, and then the executive director would hire any necessary staff in order to pull off, if you will, or provide what the full board has determined is our direction. For example, the strategic plan, having a conference, these things. And we also have an administrative person in our office, Gina. I don't know if Gina's on here or if you've met Gina. If she's here, I'd like for her to say hello.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here.
Oh,
Good
good.
morning.
Thank you, Gina.
My
And thank you
pleasure.
for all that you do on behalf of all of us.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And so, with all of that said, and thinking about our future, you can see the masthead of this screen, Weathering the Storm. Weathering the Storm was a theme that we used for conference, but are continuing it through at least into next year, because we expect that there is a storm brewing in the realm of the General Assembly and the governor as far as changes that they would like to make to local government, particularly townships. So we believe there is a storm brewing, but at the same time, we believe we can weather that storm. We can come out stronger and better. And we used the sequoia tree as that example at conference. And I encourage you to look up the particulars on that tree and how they become stronger and better when they go through fire. And they have a root structure that allows the trees to hold on to each other essentially and allows them to keep growing and stand tall. And so I think the sequoia tree is representative of townships. We depend on each other to stand strong and keep growing, right? And we've been through a lot of fire, and we're going to go through more. But I have confidence we're going to weather it, and we're going to come out better on the other end and stronger. So I appreciate all that the board of directors has done this past year to keep the association strong, to support what the staff is working on and doing, giving us guidance and input. I hope that you will get to know them, and I know that President Kay Walker is on here. Kay, can you say hello? Want everybody to know you. At least she was on here. I'm putting her on the spot. I'm sorry. Maybe we'll catch her in a
I'm
bit.
sorry.
That's all right.
Can you
There's
hear me
Kay.
now? I had trouble getting it off mute. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're excited for this to be happening every month, and we welcome you and your input.
Thank you, Kay. Thank you for all that you do for us.
Thank you.
So with these things in mind, that there is a storm brewing. Most of you know that in 2022, we had a study conducted on the effectiveness and efficiency of township government. Those data that are extremely valuable to telling our story and mounting an offense and proactive action, they need updated. This costs money, and we have issues with the state of Indiana in how people see us. Okay, so our public perception or public education as to what township government provides. This needs to change, and we would love to be able to get professional help from a PR firm to lead us in the right direction so that we can best let Hoosiers know what we're up to. All right, so data, having somebody from a PR firm helping us legislatively, we need to have more help with lobbying, which means money. And so at the convention meeting in September, the members or the delegates determined that we would accept a new dues structure. And we will be sending out information, the particulars of that, to each of you. And I don't want to go deep into that, but we've got to step it up. We have not changed our dues structure or done any type of increase in at least 20 years. And so you think about inflation in 20 years and what that has done. And we are absolutely needing more revenue in order to keep providing the services that you expect. And so we had to come to that place to accept that we need a new dues structure, one that is more simple. And yes, it will cost more. But we have townships that are only contributing $100, $150 a year. If you think about $100 and you go to dinner, you take your family to dinner, that's gone. And that's 2 hours of time. So just think about how far $100 goes. And a phone call or several phone calls from a township can consume 2 hours of time. So, when we have to research an answer or get legal help on something that we are not able to answer, things like this cost money. So that's the point we're at. And I just want to give that to you as a precursor to the communication that we will be sending to you. Okay. So that's my report on the association. I don't know if Drew, Flory, or Lydia have anything to add, but are there any questions regarding these things that I just shared. And while you're thinking, we can go ahead and talk about the recent SNAP crisis. And I believe the government shutdown is over and that things will start flowing again. But I got this sign for my office. I'm going to see if you can see it if I hold it up. I got this sign for my office, and I'm thinking about getting it tattooed on my forehead before session. You see that? So, SNAP crisis, right? Here we are. SNAP crisis. People are panicking because they don't know where they're going to get their food. If it weren't for the townships, then who? So if you couldn't see it, the sign said, if not us, then who? Right? Who else do we have in the state that can lead us through a crisis like that and fill those gaps and be sure that no Hoosiers are suffering? But I'm so proud of how the trustees stepped up and came together. We had a special called Zoom call to kind of go through the challenges. And I want to thank Drew specifically for the research that he did, for the guidance that we were able to send out to everybody. Thank you, Drew. And thank you to all of you that stepped up to be sure things continued in the realm of township assistance, specifically for food. Okay. Any comments or questions there? Kathy Leroux, would you like to share with us?
Hi, good morning. Yes, well, I have a question. I know during that township talk about the crisis, Drew mentioned he put things on like Facebook, website. I guess my question is, I know from so let me just say the community has reached out, they're wanting to help. And I found out that our school system has like 1,400 families on SNAP. And so the school is doing a collection and so on. So my question is, when Drew put something on Facebook in the website, was it telling people that if they needed SNAP, if they needed food because of their temporary stop of SNAP, that they could come to the office? Or was it strictly just to solicit donations? I guess, so that's my question. I know I had so many reaching out to help and donate. And we did have some increase in people wanting food assistance, but I didn't promote it on my Facebook saying, hey, come to us if you need to. And I'm just wondering, did you guys do that? And I could still do it.
You want me to respond, Debbie? I guess since it was,
Please.
I mean, Kathy, I kind of, yes, I did ask for donations because I have a food pantry, but I also wanted people to be aware of this, that we could do food vouchers. It did take a little bit more of a intricate interview. We had to actually do an application. So we wanted, my ultimate goal was, one, I was stressed out about it because it's food and, it shouldn't have to worry about where your next meal is coming from. So our own township, we kind of put it out there, hey, we do have a food pantry, but we also could help our residents within our township if they want to go through the application process. So we kind of laid all those details on our Facebook page in a post, just letting them know, hey, if you'd like to help, you could donate food, you could volunteer at our food pantry, and kind of just say, hey, we all know what's going on. We're trying to figure it out in real time without any really reference or past guidance to work with. But it was kind of just a mixed message of like, we do need donations for our food pantry. we do have the ability to help with food vouchers if that's a route you would want to go to, but we're going to have to look at you by a case by case situation. And we just tried to get that information out as fast as possible. I tried to get in the newspapers, either online or the physical copies of the newspapers, and what our office was going to do to address the SNAP crisis. And obviously, it's changed since last week with the news that there are a lot of groups in my community that are asking for donations, and I get worried. Like, I don't want to ask for something while somebody else is asking for something, but we have people that partner with us regularly, or family members or friends that just want to give us, food donations or money. So I didn't want to be behind the gun either while everybody else had, their hands out and said, "Hey, help us," when we'd already kind of been doing these things. One, we can do food vouchers, maybe not for people on SNAP. Typically, we're not allowed to do that, but we have the ability to do food vouchers through, on a normal basis. And then the food pantry, obviously we have enough food in there, but we knew if we extended our hours and take down some of the restrictions that we typically have for the food pantry, that we may run through all the food and reserves that we have. So I wanted to kind of know that we're able to respond. We have a capacity to respond, but one, you got to know what you're walking into with the food voucher. And the other part is that, hey, our food pantry may be low on food if we get a big number of people coming in because of this. So I try to follow a lot of trustees on, maybe their personal Facebooks, or like I just had a Cody yesterday. There's other personal pages of their township pages to kind of see what they can respond. Not say what a copy of what they're doing. It's a good way to see, like, take some pictures and great one up and tell them to see stuff. Township government or food shortage.
I'm
We're
sorry.
having trouble understanding you, Drew. You're garbled.
I'm in a loud area.
Yeah. All right.
So I guess, and that's the thing. I mean, we have the food pantry, and it's really financially and supported, as well as with donated items. I mean, we're very well with that. But I just, I didn't put anything per se on my Facebook saying, "Hey, if there's anyone that needs food, send them to the office." And I was wondering if you did anything like that. I mean, people knew there's a crisis.
Yeah.
They stepped up to help.
I think there was I think some did and some didn't, Kathy. I
Okay.
know that my township did. We just said, because we do have a food pantry as well. So we did publicize that we were there for them, and this, I think this crisis is ebbing out.
Right.
So, but thinking, going forward when we have these things occur, and let's see if you agree, you all agree, but in a way, that is doing our own PR from where we sit in our own community to let people know what we're doing and to engage with them, and not to be afraid that it's going to bring more people to you if they're truly in need. We want to serve them, right? So I don't
Right.
know how anybody else feels about that.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Well, let's jump then to talking about the conference. We are here for your input. We had almost 700 folks involved in the conference as attendees and presenters, and it was one of the most attended and really engaged group attending this past year, or this past September, that I've seen. But with that said, we know we can do better, and we are going to keep working to do better, but we need your input. So please feel free. If you don't want to speak up, put it in the chat for us. Message us privately if you have ideas. But we need to hear from those that attend the conferences, what else you'd like to see. Okay. Okay. So if you have those ideas, like I said, stick those in the chat. And oh, Kathy, did you have another something
I,
here? Or is this the old one? Okay.
no, it's new. I have a question regarding the conference. I know we had attended a ethics um, meeting and we signed our name and
Yes.
our email, right? I know we haven't received those
Right.
certificates. Okay, so they'll still
That's
be.
on me. That's on me. I'm
That's
just
okay.
behind, but I am hopeful next week that we get those out. All right. And I apologize to everyone. The team has done their part and it sits with me to pull the trigger on it. So, um, I am purposing right now that those are going to get out early next week. Okay.
No, that's okay. I understand. I
Mhm.
just wanted to make sure that I didn't miss something. So
Right.
thank you.
Right.
Thank
No,
you.
thank you for bringing it up.
Mhm.
Appreciate that.
Debbie, when the ethics certificates go out, we had talked about going ahead and encouraging everyone to upload those onto Gateway.
Mhm.
And even though it's not required yet, but that we start to demonstrate that we are doing the continuing education. And are we still thinking that route?
Yes, and I think we should message that when those certificates go out so that people are, thanks for bringing that up, Flory. Yes, we've talked about that and believe that would be a good idea. Keep in mind, continuing education or education hours are not currently required except for attending the State Board of Accounts state called meeting at least once every 2 years. So that is the only requirement that we are under at this time. All right. So this is a voluntary, an idea for voluntarily uploading those, as Flory said, um, to demonstrate, listen, we are here, we are learning, and we're ready to go. Okay. Um, Anything else on conference? I do need to make this announcement. With the Embassy Suites, um, as we discovered this year, apparently a large group has booked out that hotel for the next 2 years, encompassing many of the potential September dates. So we next year are going to be meeting October 8 to 10. Now, this is starting on a Thursday. We'll have registration Wednesday night on the 7th, but the program will start on Thursday the 8th and conclude on Saturday the 10th. This is actually the weekday spread that ITA used for many, many years. And then we got away from it and did the first half of the week for the last decade at least. So I know this is a shift. We don't like having to tell you this, but at least for 26 and 27, we are looking at October dates. So I'd like to start gathering input before we look at 28. In 28, we have the potential of moving back to our September dates that we have used. So if we wait to see how everybody likes it, we'll probably miss out on the option for September. Okay, so if we want to go back to September after these next 2 years, we have to exercise that option quickly. So I'm asking right now, we need We need to know how you feel about it. I know you haven't experienced it yet, but if you could put some thought to that, and we will be putting out other communication on this as well, so that people have plenty of notice to get it on their calendars and make plans for this shift. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. Okay. Now, I hope that you've noticed that we have, in the last couple of years, we have upped the opportunities for full day seminars with more of a encompassed or a inclusive education on specific topics. Drew, would you like to chime in?
I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me, but there was some response on the conference stuff, the dates.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know if you wanted to answer those questions as before you moved on.
Yes, please, please.
Do you want to read them just in case you can't hear me? Sorry.
I'm okay. I see. Um, why do we have the meeting in the middle of the budget process? Why not meet before? So if there are offices that need real help with the process, they can get questions answered, just answered before, just a thought. Well, actually, that would mean that we would have to have a June or July conference in order to avoid the budget season and to prepare you for that. In lieu of that, we have been providing full day seminars, finance seminars, to try to fulfill that need, Sherry. And Drew, can you speak to that more? That's your area.
I mean, I get what Sherry's saying with it having conference earlier, like Debbie said, June or July, and that puts a lot of pressure to have that conference done. And even when some people come to conference in September, I mean, I'm done with my budget by August, first week of September, so I'm usually done by that point. So the goal is, like, the summer we had the CIP training, which really hopefully isn't an every year thing. It was more of a crisis response to us trying to figure out what to do on the CIP. But we hope that, I know we did one 2 years ago, a budget seminar, a finance seminar with some financial experts in the summer, probably June, late June. So that way we can have just a focus on that, and then maybe have, some financial experts and trustees and talk about the budget process that way. I just don't know, with October, yes, people most likely are done with their budget and can't make changes. Sometimes you get a group of those that can't make changes by the end of September either, where I don't know if we'll ever have a conference that early in the year. Right now, I can't see it, but we are going to try to offer something, next year. The plan is to have in that June, late June, possibly early July, have a budget seminar. And when we did it in July 2 years ago, people said it was too late. So it's like, well, when is too early to start talking about your budget? And I guess it depends on when your township starts doing it, how far along the process it is, your budget workshops, et cetera. That we hope that seminar catches those people that want to really get some more in-depth help on their budgets in that June seminar, or that quarterly seminar we have in the summer.
Okay. So Sherry, that's and others that have this same question. This is why we try to provide that seminar, is because we realize that a fall conference, which has been the tradition of the ITA for at least 45 years, to have a fall conference. We have heard in the past from farming communities have difficulty during harvest. We understand that. it is possible for us to go later in November, that kind of thing, to avoid harvest and fall breaks and these things. But that puts us very close to the session of the General Assembly. And if we want time to come together corporately, if there's any decisions to be made that impact session, November is really too late to have those kinds of discussions. So I do want to get to the question from Clinton Township. And I think that one of the things with hotels in general, all venues, sorry, the question from Clinton Township had to do with at conference purchasing bottles of soda for almost $4. We have tried supplying those so that it's not out of your pocket, that it's included. Unfortunately, that was taken advantage of over and over again, which costs the ITA's budget $4 every time somebody takes a water or some kind of beverage from the cooler. And it was extremely expensive. And we didn't feel that was fair to those that don't consume, to, have that impact. If everyone at lunch just took one, we'd be fine, but it doesn't go that way. And I don't know if any other of the team or board wants to speak to that. But when you start working with the hotel and realize the expense, their menus are what they are. And every hotel is the same way. There's no way around it. There are some that are more expensive than where we're at, but I don't know of any that are less. So we get charged for everything there. And I think we can perhaps try to find a way that we could supply, a soda, if you will, but it's kind of complex when you're dealing with 700 people.
Debbie,
Let me
I'd like
chime
to
in.
add on that. Oh,
Go ahead,
sorry,
Lydia.
Joe,
Yes,
go ahead.
please.
Okay. This was the second time I sat through the meeting with the hotel with Debbie, and I was just totally blown away by the cost of everything. And we have no say in it. And they set the prices, and we can't bring anything in. It's kind of like, the concession stand at the park pool. You can't bring food in. They want you to buy their stuff. So we don't have any control over it, but we do look at it as what is the most cost effective. And it's just, their prices are just astronomical.
And by the way, we did look at, I see Black Township ask if there's another venue option. We have looked at pretty much every property in central Indiana that can accommodate us. We outgrew the Sheridan. There's no way we can go back. They can't, I mean, I think it was 450, we topped out there. There was no space left. And here we are up around, hitting up at 700 threshold every year. So we grew because we moved. I do believe we were able to accept more. But the only other venues that can accommodate us are downtown Indianapolis at the JW Marriott, and there may be one other hotel. And their costs, their room costs, their food costs, everything, you're looking at much more. There is another Embassy Suites on the west side of Indianapolis. However, it is kind of out in a more remote area, so there are no amenities around there. Should you want to, take off and, go to a store or have dinner out or something like that. Let's see here. I see the different opinions on June, July, August. All I know is with our calendar, if you think about session ending in a long session going through April. And then we would need to turn around and get a conference ready in early or midsummer. It's too much. I don't know how else to put it. If we had the staff that, Indiana Counties Association has, or AIM with the cities and towns, if we had those kinds of staff where they have multiple people that can do a conference and that's all they do. Prior to me coming on as executive director, we paid close to $70,000 to have a company run our conferences each year. That's a lot of money, and we don't see using what resources we do have that way. So the timing of the conference in relationship to the General Assembly meeting, that is something that we have to consider. And I wish that we could be more accommodating. Um, and I see people saying they'd like to go back to September. Um, and Drew, am I missing any questions? There's a lot here.
No, I mean, I think we talked about the soda, and I kind of was going to chime in earlier, just like Debbie said, it was more when I came on board a couple years ago, I was trying to find ways to reduce costs. And that one year we had designated soda at a certain time. But before that year, it was just take what you can, and it's a consumption-based thing. So it's a person that takes six, Mountain Dews back to their room, which is fine, it's there. But we can add those things. It'd be nice if we could bring our own stuff, but the hotel won't allow us to. That's why we don't have our own hospitality room anymore. And that's why we don't have things like bottled water and sodas to give away. Because we can buy $500 or $1,000 and be way less than what the hotel would charge us, on a consumption basis. The different dates, June or July, yeah, it might work for some, but I know in my personal office, I'm probably the most busy, at least the past couple of years, in June and July with my staff, or the amount of traffic we get to our office, where it'd be very hard for me to pull myself, and I typically bring my staff to those type of things. So conference, we try to get that. There's not really a great time for anything. It seems like, obviously in the winter months it's probably not great either, but like between August and October, you're going to get in that budget season. So it is difficult for people to pick, do they come to conference for budget? Sometimes, yes, that may be the case. I seen Sherry's points about the small townships, and I know they're looking for those things in afford. But we do offer recorded versions, and if somebody's ever willing to really bring that help, I try to help with it as much as I can on the basis. I can't dedicate hours of conference to sit down with somebody's budget, but we try to find solutions for people that work. And the location. I asked Debbie. I said, what about downtown? The parking, the cost of a place like the JW Marriott. We talked about French Lick. Well, then we'd probably lose half of our townships by picking an area south of the state or north of the state. So I think something in there also about more central. And yes, Noblesville is a little off to the east of the core of Indianapolis, but it's still central to the state, where I don't know if there's anywhere else other than downtown Indianapolis that is going to be any more central than going back to the Sheraton, which I think, if people remember going there, the classrooms are small. The main ballroom or banquet room is very, it could fit, but we're just been growing so much more. Our trade show would look very different. It would be, you guys remember when it was on Wednesdays when everybody started to head out, it was in the hallway. And it just, the hotel fits, and that's kind of the balance we got to have. Find a place with enough hotel space, conference space, because we're already pretty much booked up completely at the Embassy Suites, where people are staying at the Holiday Inn or the Residence Inn that was new across the street, where it's like, where do you find the right place in Indiana to fit everybody and be a good location as well?
We believe there are three venues, according to the company that we use to help scout out a venue, would be in Fort Wayne, There is the Grand Wayne Center, which would be in a like a convention center, and across the street are hotels. Another is French Lick at the casino. And then the third that I already mentioned is the JW Marriott. We have tried doing, we used to have a summer conference and it was held in different regions of the state. We rotated it each year. We lost money over and over and over again for lack of attendance. Yes, we would collect the people from those regions, but then people from the opposite end of the state did not want to drive the whole length of the state or from corner to corner to attend. So, um, we've sorted through these things over and over, and we're doing the best that we can to accommodate you. Anyway, anything else question wise on this? Okay, so real quick, Drew, you want to recap the 4 quarterly seminars that we held this year?
Yeah, and I'll do. I know we're running out of time, but I had talked to Debbie. I know in the past we've always kind of occasionally done, once every election cycle we have the new trustee training. We try to do township talks depending on if we have enough time to really cover a subject. And I thought it would be a good idea to try to find different opportunities to talk about different things where we can take an in-depth dive. So this past year we planned to have 4 quarterly conferences, one being end of year reporting that we did in January. Another one was township assistance. The third one ended up being our CIP, which is typically our budget / finance training in the summer. And then we just recently had a newer one, which was our fire public safety day that we held in Westfield. And the goal of them is to, one, yes, it's an opportunity to go more in depth than we can at a conference or we can in a township talk. But we are trying to prepare for when we do get to 2027 and the new trustees come in and there is a CE requirement. These will be other opportunities outside of conference to get your required 15 hours a year. So the goal is to kind of have these in place and you can pick and choose. Now, I don't think you'll get all your CE at one of these seminars, but you can build different parts of your calendar where you can say, I can go to this, public safety day, and I'm going to go to this budget training, and I got 12 of my 15 credit hours or whatever it may be for the year to go towards that. And really, we had a really good turnout. We had about 20 people that signed up for all 4 of them from the get-go, and we averaged about 100 to 200 people. Our CIP one had probably the most because of the information that we were giving out was very fresh. We had about 225 people. We had to use a new space this year, which was the IMMI Conference Center. And I know people like that space because it's right off of 31. I can't guarantee that we'll always go there because we do have the opportunity to use a free space at Delaware Township, which is nice. And when we go to somewhere off-site, it's usually money for the venue, for the AV, everything else included. And I think that IMMI Conference Center is beautiful. It's worked out twice for us with the CIP training and the public safety day, but I can't guarantee that we'll always we were trying to look at the fire Delaware Township. So there really wasn't. Can you not hear me?
Come closer.
It's on my ears, so it shouldn't come from my computer. Oh. Sorry. But yeah, I think it was a real success. So we were going to try to make sure that some things might be cyclical, like annual reporting and in-year reporting. We probably will do that one in the wintertime because it's usually something that people have a lot of questions about. Township assistance and then public safety. Now that's something. You guys think there's other things that we could teach on? Yes, please give us suggestions. But those are usually our 4 things around townships: fire, township assistance, and being in compliance with your reports and your budgets. That we know people want to have a lot of questions about in business and professionals. as well as, give a little bit more than just a 45-minute to an hour class on one subject.
And Drew, what have we been charging for a recording?
$25.
Okay. So you can essentially, if it's not in your budget or, for travel or coming to the quarterly seminars for usually $125 max and includes a meal. Um, if that's out of range for you, then for really $100, you can you can view and have a recording of each of those seminars. So we're trying to make this affordable and accessible to all those that may have difficulty traveling or paying for travel. Um, Thank you, Drew, for recapping those. And I'm going to wrap it up. We're not going to have time to go into these last things, but let's wrap it up by saying we're keeping the lines of communication open on these subjects. So after we close the meeting and you have time to kind of think about it, please continue to send your ideas to Drew, Flory, Lydia, or me, or all of us, um, so that we can hopefully continue the momentum of growing and becoming stronger. So I am hopeful at our next Township Talk that we can talk more about the 2026 plans. But before we wrap, I just want to know if any of the directors have anything to add. Or board of directors. Anybody have anything to finish it up? Okay. Okay. I think we're done for today. Appreciate you all coming. We'll say goodbye. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Hey, Drew. Hey, Drew. Hello.
Yep, I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was,
yeah, that's all right. I gave you a private message. If you can check that out.
oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't even see that pop up there.
That's all right. Yeah, just looking for some help with the AFR. I had a tough time last year. I don't know if you're the right person or not.
Yeah. I'm going to send you an email. I'm getting ready to go to a veterans event, but I'll try to get in contact with you so we can kind of game plan something out.
Okay. Hey, thanks. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.